I say this every time I'm recording something, but this might dead ass be like the 85th time I've recorded this. It is not lost on me that being a person means being a myriad of things. It means being an entity that can create art. It means being an entity that can interpret art. It means being an entity that can critique art. Is it yet obvious that art is the only thing keeping me from being a full-blown misanthrope? Mournfully, being a person also means being an entity that is exceptionally bad at being a person, or at least exceptionally good at not being a person. In September of 2024, I released a video essay about apathy called "A Dog Humped Me, Life is Meaningless." It was a bit much, but it didn't do too well at first, but it picked up steam ever since my Spotify video blew up. Regardless, as I do all my work, I somewhat despise it, but a significant part of me is sincerely proud of it. I think it was the first of a streak of essays with strong pathos and a clear narrative. A streak, I fear, that is coming to an end today. One of my favorite comments on that video, and on all of my work, frankly, is by a user unfortunately named StupidBoy9476. They said my style of video made them feel as if they were watching memories, which is such a breathtakingly generous thing to say. My choice of quotes and narration apparently brought up thoughts of Kamala Harris, which is a nice thing to hear, I think. Kamala Harris is pretty, so I stan. They talked about their depression in parallel with mine. They talked about humility and the knowledge of self. It is admittedly a clumsily written passage, but for its benefit maybe, it's a token of a person, an almost rebellious level of earnestness and vulnerability. And if you look down, you will see fully written AI responses, prepped and piping hot for me to click once and disregard immediately. Words assembled to read like my past comment replies, a robot mimicking me, trying to spare me of the brutal, incomprehensibly exhausting task of showing the same generosity to someone who showed it to me. I saw this and I mourned something. Grief and rage tangled in my melodramatic heart. Permit me. I know what I'm about to say represents what feels true against what holds true. I know it condenses and simplifies reality so my anger's tiny jaw can clamp down on it. But if you are an artist, or God help us, a content creator of any kind, and you respond to any such comment with an AI response other than thanks or you too, you are an unimaginable, irredeemable thing. I know Joe Gooden talked about this very thing. I finished writing this last month, but couldn't edit it because I was on vacation. If you bring it up in the comments, I will not only block you, I will pinpoint the exact coordinates of your oldest living grandparent and ensure that they are no longer your oldest living grandparent. We'll return to AI in a moment. First, I want to talk about TikTok. Not the ban. That is a complete shit show I wouldn't even dare to touch without the privilege of hindsight. On to other, more digestible matters.
The thing that interests me in a lot of the stuff I think that I do has to do with, I think, a lot commercial entertainment, its efficiency, its sheer ability to deliver pleasure in large doses changes people's relationship to art and entertainment. It changes what an audience is looking for. I would argue it changes us in deeper ways than that, and that some of the ways that commercial culture and commercial entertainment affects
Consumption. Not tuberculosis, the fun consumption, the kind that kisses or eats at brain like soul and fungus, that black wall of pixels, the digital turtles all the way down the world rests on. Obligatory John Green reference, but of course, because it's John Green, it's a reference to something else entirely. If you are looking for a video about brain rot, this isn't gonna be it. Go watch Alicia, not Alicia's video instead. Go watch Alicia, not Alicia's video instead. She's a far better writer than I am, and she's also very pretty, so I stan. My fault. Full disclosure, I will confess, I think short form content is the devil. I am wholly in disfavor of reels, shorts, TikTok, and would gladly give up the existence of Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye and maybe even Coke Zero if it means ridding the world of these vile, villainous vermin. I would give up alliteration as well. And while I'm obviously being hyperbolic in my feelings towards short form media, I do not bring my wariness from an outsider's perspective. I am not one of those assholes you knew in college that thought themselves cool because they never used the dancing app with the neo pronouns. I know TikTok is not just a dancing app. I know some of the best comedic minds of our generation. I Am Sammy, Andrew Ruoso, Tony Statovci thrive on TikTok and her coattails. It has built a new meta, a new type of garden, and the most beautiful flowers the art world will ever see are spearing through clouds. I know these things because I am a TikTok veteran. And I don't mean that in a cool way. Nobody watched the shit I put on that platform for good reason. I mean that in a far more passive way. As in, I am a veteran of spending hours exchanging whatever lies at the heart of whatever a tosin is in exchange for ceaseless entertainment. Alleged stalker / alleged genius David Foster Wallace said, "A model of life in which I have a right to be entertained all the time seems to me not to be a promising one." And I think this is what I meant when I said that being a person means being really good at not being a person. David Foster Wallace died in 2008, but in the interview in which he said that line, he talked about having to discard his television because he would spend hours just switching through channels over and over, drowning his David Foster Wallace-ness in the ceaseless, rhythmic, sweet cacophony, soaking in staccato-like bursts of pleasure, leaping high but barely inching forward, dopamine receptors looking like the cardiac oscillations of a small creature on its final lap about to burst. And you realize in this interview in 2003, several years before the endless scroll would be invented, years before we would even be able to conceptualize a thing like TikTok, this 40-year-old man is describing doom scrolling. Holy shit. What's that stupid TikTok meme? You are the problem. Wait, is that it? Or is it your husband is gay? Fuck, I sound like an old man. The call is coming from inside the house. I don't know. You know what I mean? We've always been like this. Asa Raskin, the alleged inventor of the endless scroll, I say alleged because there's a Reddit thread linked in the comments that paints him out to be a fraud, has an almost Oppenheimer-esque mixture of shame and pride about him as he admits to giving us the power to destroy ourselves. He told the Times, "This story that we all had been telling ourselves, that we were making the world a better place with technology, that story has been undone. I can't tell myself that story anymore."
Yeah, my bad. So, Cake doesn't... Wow, that's a clip! Clip it! I went live though. Holy shit, 6 viewers. Okay, another person?
And how far does consumption, the desire to be entertained, push us? How far does the desire to entertain? Who are we giving up the privilege of being when we play into this performance? The following text is the anxious, borderline, nonsensical ruminations of a boy clicking and clacking away at 5:30 in the morning during what was supposed to be his vacation. Forgive me. The last thing I want is to insult other people's intelligence. But you know this shit isn't real, right? We talk about how the internet is an idealized, caricatured reality, yet we all fall victim to its promise. It's an easy access to people, whether that be in terms of dating, contacting friends or family, or fame and acclaim. The internet is and always has been a bridge between souls. But who exactly are we trying to connect to when we make faceless AI automated YouTube channels, or trite, incurious commentary videos about the same YouTuber controversy a 1,000 other channels have covered, or a $1 million challenge paced and edited to mirror the mind of a coked up Tasmanian devil with a handful of attention disorders. It was supposed to be a bridge between souls, but it's a blood vessel, circulating venom over and over. We are not people, we are post-terrestrials, playing with their pixelated corpses. We are simply a collective unit. The internet is feeding on itself and birthing itself in a cycle, defecating the souls of the people who brought it to life. Our shameless marathon for the remaining souls is fun, but stop for a moment. Look around. There are none left. It's a game. It's a game, and we all lost, and we all play, and we all hedge our bets on the slick, thin promise that we can become the king of this jungle. But there is no goddamn jungle. It's a zoo. It's a zoo. The trees are painted onto the cement. People are pressed against the glass pointing, and the food doesn't run anymore. Kings of the zoo, every last one of us, roaring for a piece of meat that will never fill our stomachs, never stop echoing against the chasm at the end of our throats. The internet is a constantly updating reflection of its master, and so it is also empty. My hatred towards short form content has been short-sighted. A forest for the trees conundrum. The internet as a whole is an alive thing, a vacuum of a creature that cannot exist without human attention. It slithers and molds into whatever optimized channel will suck out the most reaction. It's why rage bait is so effective, why we can't recall the last 5 things we scrolled by, why you, as you're watching this video, will confess that your time spent on this YouTube platform is far too voluminous, yet harbor no intention to stop. The internet was a monochrome snapshot of our reality, and we have cursed it with color. It is the inevitable voice that keeps us on that bed, skin oil from our thumbs glistening on our screens. It is saying to us more. The term IRL, nigh redundant. The line between PNG and chlorophyll blurred into oblivion. The Venn diagram looks more and more like a circle every day. I confess I'm less worried than I am tired. In regards to the internet, David Foster Wallace wasn't the only writer who predicted the future. In my incel essay, I talked about Ned Vizzini. In his novel, Be More Chill, and I kid you not, the main virgin loser character eats a pill that houses a tiny computer. The computer tells him how to talk to girls and raise his social standing, and eventually he becomes more and more like the tiny pill-shaped robot. He begins talking like him, and by the end of the book he's calling women females. I know, this fucking book came out in 2004, I think. What's with these depressed, suicidal white men and their tether to the future? Are humans really that unchanging? I think this book about a tiny pill, a tiny computer that slowly changes people and makes them stop seeing each other as people, planted a seed in me. I grew very cynical towards our digital age, towards our time of red/blue pill movements, and towards the tiny computer in my hand. The pixelated cage with no key in sight. I felt as though this thing was melting into me, and as much as I hated it, I was too used to its warmth. I couldn't leave the cage without forsaking something I needed. But on the last Billy Woods album, Aesop Rock said, "What's a sheep when everyone is a shepherd?" And this probably isn't what he meant, but I like that line because it subverts the common image of our digital age. Instead of us being sheep mindlessly following the algorithm, it paints us as the algorithm. It paints us as the system, as the guardrails to the pasture on which we graze. It gives us control, for better or for worse. You could say it's not true, and that we are actually slaves to the algorithms. I would agree the same way I would agree with Aesop Rock, only to some extent. I don't think it's a good sign when anyone claims to have a truth that applies to all circumstances within any given context. One of the easiest ways to sell someone a lie is to tell them you have a universal truth about themselves. But I think it's true in this. The internet has nearly as much power as we give to it. The same way we are what we decide so is the internet. I look at this stupid YouTube channel. I look at the comments I get, at the people telling me stories of loved ones lost to suicide, dementia, time, people sharing with me woes of mental illness or isolation or change, and those eerily in-depth AI auto-responses YouTube wants me to use fall flat to the wayside. The trees that I thought were painted onto a wall rustled when I brushed past them. This is no cage, it's a forest. Those clouds looked like they would part by the time I reached the end of the essay, but here they remain. Whatever. I'm tired of being hopeful. The easiest way to sell someone a lie is to tell them you have a universal truth about themselves. I can't with my full chest say I'm okay with the Venn diagram becoming a circle. I cannot tell a full story of fear, but I also cannot completely write in my usual optimistic lilt. Because this shit is harrowing. The internet feels more and more like a net negative every day. Technology is a spiral disguised as the real world, and the deeper I go, the tighter the digital vine stalk gets. What did Black Country New Road say? It takes a few years, but they break bones. My bones are breaking. I hate it here. I want to switch to an e-ink smartphone, but I'm in love with my Google Pixel's camera. I'm using it to record this video right now. I'm not trapped in the Matrix. By God, I am the Matrix. Swallowing the key to the escape hatch because I'm worried to escape would in some way mean death, socially or otherwise. Listen, I don't like the inflammatory, the sky is falling statements. The internet will not be the end of humanity. We will course correct as we have done and will probably continue to do for a while. I'm not smart or arrogant enough to think I am the harbinger of some kind of imaginary utopia or dystopia. I'm just a man in his 20s, being what all men in their 20s are most adept at being. Scared. God, the Silence, My Sweet Cacophony, a poem by Tosin Balogun. I saw the webs engulf my mouth, my lungs implode. Who cares? I scroll, I scroll, I scroll. I found some time to sell to Black Widow. I bound the lies, but bells just had to toll. My fingers quake and lust an extra scroll. I fell in love with fragments, cracked applause. I fell in love with fragments, shards of God. He's silent now, a static JPEG now. He bores. I scroll on past the dead divine. I scroll to find my sweet cacophony. Ignore the Black Widow, the glowing webs, split bones across the endless time to spare. Mid-scroll I wonder where the silence went, the place his soul escaped to when he died. I wonder what the silence God would say to souls that fled the altar of his name. Turn off the phone, my boy, and go to sleep. Hello, I have a new book that's coming out. We're not sure, February or March maybe. It's about a young rapper who's the only one who knows the world is gonna end, and she has to fill up her bucket list, which includes, get the guy and try anal. It's not a weird book. If for some reason you're on this channel and you don't like reading, no problem. You can check out my Patreon where I have more reading, but also stuff that isn't reading, videos that aren't on this channel. And also I'm gonna start posting like a sort of addendums to videos on there as well, so there'll be one for this one as well. The degree to which I need money is cavern-esque in nature. Is cavernous a word? If it is, it's cavernous in nature. Okay, all right, goodbye.